Chapter 2. The next morning I woke up fresh, without a trace of the headache from the day before. I got out of the bed and opened the window. Sharp, cold air rushed in, causing my body hair to stand upright like hedgehogs' needles. Light convulsions passed from head to toe. I drew the robe and covered my chest. There was a brand new day ahead of me. The police inspector called me and asked me to meet him in his office. First, I had breakfast. Small French croissants and a cup of black coffee. And then I forwarded to my meeting with the police. "Did you know Dave was having financial difficulties?" I was asked, the inspector's eyes fixed on me. "I have already told you, I did not know the man. We met the night before, I had a drink, and I woke up the next morning in his room." "Did anything happen at the night?" His lips moved up in a discreet smile. I wished I knew the answer, but I didn't. I'm not sure. He did not say anything more about my small flirtation. "So, you did not talk about what he did for a living?" He waited for me to confirm. "No." The inspector continued in his business-like voice. "And you did not discuss his affairs, family, friends?" "We might have done, but at that point I would have been deadly drunk." I said. "Not helpful at all." He frowned, and his face depicted a very tired but strong man. One playful forelock threw a shadow over his right eye, hiding half of it. His skin looked pale and porcelain white. The detective sank in his thoughts and did not notice my interest in his body, which appeared to be very masculine and tender. I wondered whether he was a member of a public gym, or a police one. He took a sip, and his sculpted Adam's apple moved up and returned down again. I couldn't help asking myself, am I gay? His thoughts drew me back. His account was in the red. No movement for a long time, but then just 3 days ago, he deposited a substantial amount of cash. I suppose that was only part of the money he was expecting. Any ideas? His warm chestnut eyes met mine. Well, he had clients, you know. After all, he was a very talented designer. Yes, designer. He smiled softly, and beside his mouth, 2 charming dimples appeared. "If you hear anything, or your memory has a flash of recognition, anything from that night." He did not finish the sentence. "I will call you." I finished. I left the police station and walked down the street, mulling over the new information. Why had Dave credited his account with such a large amount of money? Could it be a common order or something special? The only person who seemed to know him well was Marcel. I decided to pop to his office and invite him to dinner. Marcel was working in a small gallery on the main road. He was busy with some new exhibition. Hanging paintings never seen before. I thought they were from a private collection. Marcel glanced at the light when I opened the front door, and when his eyes adapted to the change, he smiled. There were 3 more people in. "Pete, how lovely to see you so soon." He came to me and gave me 2 kisses, as the French do. This warm, friendly welcoming stopped the words from leaving my mouth. Everyone was looking at me as I stayed stupidly silent. "I was nearby and thought we could have dinner together. You need to eat, after all." The words finally found their way out. "But of course. How can I refuse such a nice invitation? Wait for me to get my coat." He disappeared in the far corner and a moment later returned very elegant and handsome. He gave some instruction to his secretary and the others, and we left. In the street, Marcel took my arm above the elbow and whispered in my ear, "I know a very cosy place nearby. Italian food? Sounds great. I was unsure whether to draw my arm back, but then he released it. We turned round the corner and came across a small street, hidden from the world. It was narrow and cobbled, but charming, full of stylish shops, offering the famous English brands, women's and men's hats, expensive designer shoes, and elegant restaurants. Marcel led me to one of the premises, and we sat down at a tiny table for two, seated next to a window. "Pizzas here are delicious. You're going to like them," he said. After we ordered beers and some nibbles, I shared my latest news. I was in the police station today and understood that Dave deposited a large cash sum at the bank recently. Dave had his businesses. It could be money from a client for a costume or perhaps antiques. Is it important? Do you think he might be involved in something else? I asked, trying to make my point closer to what the inspector had suggested. Like what? You do not mean anything illegal, do you? His eyes studied me. I shrugged my shoulders up like a child, and he smiled. I don't think so. Dave was a very private man, but nothing illegal. He had his business and hobbies. The orders arrived, and we spent the next 10 minutes enjoying our meals. The pizza was delicious. Not very thin and crispy, but juicy, topped with an abundance of mozzarella and salami with basil, and served on a wooden board. As we chewed away, I remembered. You know, I found a key in my pocket the day after the incident. My hand fished in my pocket and removed the key. No idea where it came from, or who put it there. Marcel leaned forward, took a glance at it and whispered, "It's Dave's. He has..." "Had." He corrected himself, and his face suddenly became red. "I can't get used to that," he sighed. "He had a small wooden box full of all sorts of stuff. Memories, I suppose. He had it after his mum's death." "Where is it now?" I asked. "The box? No idea." Marcel lifted his shoulders. "Have you seen it?" "Once. It was his secret. I would not even have known about it a month ago. He was in a very good mood and told me about its existence and that it would make him very, very rich one day." That meant he had a secret. Or he blackmailed someone, I said in a whisper. We looked at each other with frozen fear on our faces. "Why are you so sure that this is the key from that box?" A flash crossed my mind. "Oh dear," he almost cried. "It was on his neck chain. I suppose whoever killed him had it after that." We looked at the key again. The last of Dave. Now it became clear. Part of his flesh and memories. "Is there blood?" he asked cautiously, the idea causing him to frown. I examined the key thoroughly, but did not find a single trace of blood. "No, I don't think so. It's clean." "Then," Marcel continued, "killer took it from his neck before killing him." "Or," I suggested, "Dave gave it to someone else because he knew he might have been killed." My words made us both shiver. It wasn't a nice thought, but we both realized it could be true. "What are you going to do now?" Marcel asked. "I don't know. I have to think," I answered frankly. "I have to run. Come to the opening of the exhibition tonight and we can continue our discussion after the party." He gave me goodbye kisses and disappeared.